All right, welcome everybody. This is the Awesomism process, is the Awesomism process right for you? And tonight I'd like to go through a couple different things. I'd like to address just kind of like a brief history of Awesomism, kind of how we got here and how you got here. Also a review of the process itself, and then answer any questions that you might have. We also have a few other people on the call tonight that are going to be giving information. Terri Henderson is our level 1 and level 2 facilitator. So can you say hi, Terri?
Hello.
And Meredith is our level 3 facilitator. Mary, you want to say hi?
Hello.
And Sharon is the operations director and all-around person who keeps everything organized. So Sharon, if you wanted to say hi too, that'd be great. Hi. So this process was created in a way that honestly made me feel very comfortable, because just like any good process, it really arrived naturally and organically. And that always makes me feel the most comfortable, when things just kind of unfold and you know what the next step is, whether you're getting that information internally or externally. It's just had a really nice pace so far. So many of you know, 1999, I'm having some pretty amazing experiences with children diagnosed with autism, and that lasts between 99 and 2007. And primarily that was playing out through both my private practice as a speech language pathologist, but also in an energy healing practice that I developed after 2000. So it was kind of a combination of seeing it through two lenses during that time. And then in 2008, Awesomism, the book, came out. And what was really interesting about having Awesomism, the book, come out is, number one, I had no intention of creating a book in the first place. But the more I told my story of what was going on for me between 99 and 2007, the more people said, you know, if you don't write it down for anything else, write it down for yourself so that you remember all of it. So I did write it down, and you know, it was published in 2008, and it went out, you know, kind of on the internet, or Facebook is where I kind of announced it. And what was interesting is I had no idea when that happened how many people in the world, professionals, parents, all kinds of different people, had had really amazing experiences with energetically sensitive children. And so there was this kind of barrage of questions and comments, and, oh, I've seen that too, or that pairs up with something I've noticed. And it was just amazing, because even in 1999, I have to say, there was nobody to talk to about this stuff at all. So by 2008, you know, just the fact that there were people to have the conversation with was really exciting. And so, you know, of course, at the time, I'm still deeply connected with the collective consciousness of the children. So as the book came out, there was, and all these people were interested, what I heard from the children themselves is, we'd like you to create a practitioner process. Well, you know, that's all well and good, you know, to create that process. But the interesting piece about that is I had no way of knowing how to create that process. And I also had no way of kind of finding out how to get you to show up. You know, I didn't have any background in that. So I promised that the kids that I would do it, and they promised me that they'd find all the right people. So, and it was a match made in heaven, I think, because they actually did find all the right people. I had all kinds of people come in to support me, which was really wonderful. And I also kind of noticed that each person that came to the process themselves, as they came to the process, hi, nice to have you, as they came to the process, they were just right. I mean, they just fit. And so what I know for a fact is that because of the arrangement that I had with the collective consciousness of the children, it's like they promised to kind of put out this clarion call to all of you who have kind of an inkling towards this population, that all of you who kind of, whether you're parents or professionals or whatever, you have this sense, of that their mastery and your mastery are somehow interlinked. And that's absolutely true. I mean, that's without a doubt my experience. And I haven't met one practitioner yet who doesn't fall into that category. It's like we're probably have over 120 some practitioners now in 15 or 16 different countries. And they all have this quality about them. And they didn't all know what that quality was when they got here. But the nice thing about the Awesomism process is that we literally assume your mastery when you get here. You may not know you have it yet or what it exactly is, but the truth of the matter is we know it's there because that was the deal, right? That's the deal between the collective consciousness of the children and this particular process. So it's kind of nice to know that ahead of time. So it's not really our job to make sure that you have this mastery or even to develop this mastery within you. It's already there. Our job is simply to get you to trust it and to kind of help it unfold a bit and to really kind of have you notice where it's already there, right? So no matter whether you're coming to this with very little awareness, multidimensionally, of who these children are, how they function and all that stuff, or whether you're really kind of seasoned, in your experiences with these kids, this process fits all of that. And the reason it fits all of it is because your mastery is showing up, because you're interested in the first place, what's happening is that mastery is going to come to the forefront. And we're going to provide a bit of a process so that it does come to the forefront, so that you see it very clearly, and then you expand on it. The collective consciousness of the children is an enormous, enormous body of information. What's in there has me still learning, all these years later. I learn every single day something from that body of consciousness. And so it's way too big for any single individual to grok. And that's why all of us have to do this together. That's why we create a community. Because you'll have different facets than I have or than other practitioners have had. And it takes all of us to really kind of play in that energy and in that awareness and actually bring it into the world. So that's that piece. The other thing that I do want to say is somewhere along the line, because, and I think this is because the collective consciousness of the children clearly calls you to this process. This process is also, it's foundational to kind of what pulls at our mastery, but it's also the community that has been created because of it that is really amazing. And again, if everybody's called for unique reasons, but similar reasons, there's a family orientation to this process that you might call your star family, or you might call a family that just resonates or feels right to you. And I've just never experienced anything like it. I mean, from my own perspective, not having anybody to talk to from 1999 to 2008, it's a barren strait, right, for quite some time. But what's cool is each person that came into the process added something as well as took a lot from it. And because they all have a similar pattern, it just feels right. And so I know, Meredith, maybe you want to speak just for a second. You might have to unmute yourself. But yeah, just speak to the community piece of things a little bit, because I do think that's unique within Awesomism.
Absolutely. And aside from the point that it just feels really good, like I can't tell you the number of people I've met that have just brought me to tears with the immediacy of our love. You know, it's like, you know, somebody from halfway around the world that I've been on phone calls with, and then to meet them in person is just like a homecoming. So there's that aspect of the community where you do feel that love and that acceptance. And then there's also that aspect where I've grown faster and more from watching somebody else, and they give wonderful reflections back to me that feel very true. So, you know, I've got to a point where for my own growth, it feels like coming together and experiencing that oneness and that coherence in a community just makes my growth and my understanding of myself that much faster and more fun. Like, we just laugh a lot too. It's just really fun, you know.
You brought up a good point too, Meredith, because I think that because Awesomism is so based on coherence, you know, coherence within us and coherence within a group, that really denotes what I would call, I would call it love, but I would say, I think a better word for it is almost mutual respect, admiration, because there's really this awareness that, oh, this person has that and this person has that, and how each aspect of that feeds another aspect of ourselves. And I know, I mean, even though I've facilitated these different levels for quite some time and now have turned them over to, you know, Terri and Meredith, it still amazes me how coherent all of the groups as a whole are. So I also want to talk to you a little bit about the process itself. Meredith kind of mentioned the community piece, but one of the things that I really like is that there are kind of three groups of people that come to this process. There are parents of energetically sensitive children. There are professionals who work with them. You know, we have lots of professionals. We have, you know, therapists and doctors, and we've got, you know, energy workers and yoga teachers, and you name it. We've got all kinds of different people in the professional category. And then we also have a whole group of people who don't work with the children physically, but are really connected to the consciousness that they bring and the information that's held in that body of consciousness. And all three of these groups take the same level one. They all are intermingled. And the reason they're intermingled is because somebody who knows these kids at an energetic level is going to ask a very different question than the parent, right? And so you get to see the children right from the get-go from multiple facets of themselves, you know, multiple levels. And really, it helps the professional and the parent understand the energetics, and it helps somebody who understands the energetics understand what it is to live 24/7 with an energetically sensitive child. You know, so we really get it from a really well-rounded perspective. There are kind of three basic parts of the process, and they're not linear. They're all kind of interwoven. There's information about the who, what, where, when, why of these children. And there's kind of a very deep energetic integration that takes place and coherence building. And then there's also practice that happens connecting with the children. And after all this time, we have certain children who literally still lend their energy to this process. So there are certain children that we can connect you with that will help you evolve your process much quicker, simply because that's what they've done. That's what their souls are committed to. And so we introduce you to those individuals during the process. This is a 15-week process. It meets on Mondays, that hour and a half kind of thing via teleconference. And so that part of it is, Terri can talk to you a little bit more about. But I think the important piece to know is that really, no matter where you enter the process, there's somewhere to go within the process. And the reason is because each person is bringing their mastery and their consciousness to it. So depending on the questions that you ask and what you really want to know about, that's where Terri's going to take you. So nothing is held back. If you are a very seasoned and very aware of multidimensionality, that's where we go. If at the same time we have somebody who wants very practical application, that question will be answered from that vantage point. So the whole system, the whole process is really run kind of like a mystery school. It's run like from the oral transmission tradition. So it is the right answer for the right person. And you'd also will hear Terri respond. Three people could ask the same question, but she's going to respond to that question maybe in 3 different ways because it's coming from 3 different places. But when everybody hears all of those responses, they also get a much more well-rounded experience of who the kids really are and the different levels of consciousness, the different places and spaces of consciousness that make up the broad spectrum that is energetically sensitive individuals. So, Terri, what can you add, or what do you want to add to the information? Terri is like a facilitator extraordinaire. I was blown away when she really is amazing. And I know that the oral transmission piece is alive and well within Awesomism, because nothing has diminished in the energetics of this process from when the kids gave it to me and from when I passed it along to Terri and Meredith and any number of others, and what she passes on to you. I've been on her calls, so I know what that feels like. So anyway, Terri, what do you want to add?
Well, I just want to start with what you were saying, Suzy, about, just the intention from the get-go of the right and perfect people show up for this process. And, I think all of us who are facilitating, and Suzy, when you're facilitating in the 1, 2, 3, even you see this in 4, it's just amazing how the right group of people just seem to come together. I know for myself, in my own experience, about all of a sudden I found Awesomism, and I just knew I had this inner knowingness. And you talk to other people and they say, golly, it's been on my radar screen for a long time. And all of a sudden I know I need to go. And it's that knowingness, it's that inner voice that we really speak to. It's just really growing that intuitive confidence, right? As we move through our life. And so, and the mixture that shows up in these calls and these different cycles, it's energetically amazing. It's physically amazing. To hear these folks, oftentimes even having just very, very similar experiences, but from different vantage points. And as we get in there and we start talking about those, the clarity that can come from those conversations is truly amazing. And then also the energetics, just going into the energetics of it in each call, and just really, as if you've had a chance to look at the website, we look at the physical body and the subtle energy bodies, the dimensional body, the soul, and going into those from the vantage point of the interface with the human neurology and psychology and physiology, and just really clearing those pathways so that we can be more sensitive from an intuitive space. And it's just, it really is a game changer. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm open to any questions. We're all open to any questions that you guys might have. Again, this will go out to others as well who signed up for the call, and will get it via recording. So happy to take any questions that you have. You just have to unmute yourself if you are muted, and hopefully you know how to do that. So any questions, comments?
Hi, Suzy. This is Annie.
Yeah, go ahead, Annie.
Can you hear me? Oh, great. Could you give me a little bit of a sense of the time commitment involved beyond the Monday nights?
Yep. They're really, the primary time is that hour and a half, one day out of the week. Sometimes if you want to practice more, there's an opportunity to do that. But Terri, do you want to speak to that? As far as anything outside, have you added anything to outside of the weekly?
There isn't anything specific outside other than just to allow time for yourself. Just allow time for yourself to integrate the information, to notice what you notice about your own experiences, but no formal activity outside of the call itself.
And I think that probably happens a little bit naturally too, don't you think, Terri? Because it's like there's that natural awareness, self-awareness that starts to develop. And so I think that probably doesn't necessarily get turned off after that hour and a half. It just kind of keeps building. Yeah. Cool. Does that make sense, Annie?
Yes, it does. I just wonder if there was like homework exercises or something. So that's great. So it's follow our own intuition. The other thing is, you can tell I'm a little bit technically challenged where we are. We have horrible internet connection. Phone or Zoom, how are you handling those logistic issues?
Yeah, right now it's held via teleconference, and I don't know. Okay. You're gonna stick with that, I'm assuming. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, and so we have people joining that teleconference through Skype, some through their cell phones or iPads or computers. Anything that will dial out can get you into that teleconference.
And
thank you very much.
All of those calls are recorded as well, Annie. So if for some reason you have to miss a call, which is pretty typical, especially if you're a parent of an energetically sensitive child, there's likelihood that you're going to miss one here or there. The recordings are put up, Sharon's very speedy with those. So they get up usually within about 24 hours at the, on the long end. So you'll be able to listen to them before the next call.
Thank you. And can I just, as long as I've got the microphone, can I make just a kind of testimonial? Suzy, I met you, as you said, so many years ago, right when the book first came out. My husband read it and said, "You've got to read this." And then we were involved with your work. And I have always wanted to do this, and it's exactly what you all said. It's the time where I can say, okay, now I can do it, and it feels right. And I'm just totally excited. So I welcome anyone else who's going to be part of this family experience of this cycle. So thank you.
Nice. Thank you. It's so interesting, Annie, because we hear that a lot, actually. It's like people will, whether people just found us, 3 weeks ago, or people have been around for, 7 or 8 years, there is that timing thing. And I love it because you just watch, it's like almost, you can kind of track people, it's like they just move through the process in their own way. And I'll say that, you're already in it, does that make sense? It's like that thread has always been there. And so now it's kind of like you're formalizing it, which is really cool. And I'm excited for sure, because you have been around a long time. So.
Thank you. Love you.
Anybody? Do you have a question?
Well, I'm very, very new to
Yeah.
this. I just found you on Gaia. I saw an interview, so I just ordered the book, and I'm very excited. I'm a parent. You said, did you say 15 weeks
Yes.
for level 1?
Yes.
So do we get to do like telepathy stuff in level 1? I'm really interested because I see things from my child.
Oh, nice.
That is very exciting to me.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've already started that connection. Like you say, now it's just a matter of, bringing it to the surface and trusting it a little bit more. And
Right, I think so. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I'm just, can you give me a little snippet? What kind of things are you seeing?
Well, I was very upset about something, but I wasn't showing my emotion. It was just like going inside my head or my element. It comes and taps my shoulder and looked at me very sternly, like, "Stop it, Mom." He's completely nonverbal. He's 9 years old. So, but that wasn't the only occasion. But I do feel that he knows, and yeah, he's very wise for his age.
Well, it's so nice that you see that in him so clearly, because it's true. I mean, they're so connected they're so connected to the emotional body, because it's a subtle energy body that they can interface with. And so it's really one of the first places that you'll notice that these children do connect. And it's actually the first kind of hook in or link in to your capacity to be more and more telepathic with them, right? You'll notice it in the way they express your emotions or mirror your emotions back to you, right? And so that kind of, it's a nice little thread that they can pull in order to kind of invite you into a more telepathic kind of experience, right? So, and Sharon actually knows this one pretty well. Sharon was, when she came into this process, was one of those people where we've got lots of them when they show up that say, "Oh my gosh, am I going to be able to have a telepathic communication with my child? Am I going to be able to see or hear or sense in a way that I haven't before?" Sharon came in full throttle with, "I don't think I'm going to be able to do this." And I think she's quite a testament to the fact that.
I would love to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think I could at all. And it's been a real journey to learn to start trusting myself. And he's high functioning, but feeling in my household is huge. And so we communicate a lot through feeling. And I have 3 boys, and they're all teenagers. They're all energetically sensitive. And because I've tapped into that telepathy, into really honing down into it, and really understanding what they're saying to me more non-verbally than verbally, we have all my boys and I have a really good communication, and I don't have a lot of the fears of a teenager mom has of my typical kids going off and doing things. But my biggest thing is that with my high functioning autistic, I have literally moved from a space of I'm afraid he's going to go to prison and have no idea where he's going to be in 3 years, and he doesn't know why he's there, to he graduated from high school. He's got his own job. He's going into culinary school, and yes, it's hard. We have our bumps, but I can communicate with him and handle things with him that are so quick and easy that we never rise to a huge anger blow up thing, because I've learned to tap into that. intuition, and my way is through feeling, where yours is he's showing you, telepathically or through verbal or emotions or actions. That way.
It must be very frustrating for him because sometimes he does scratch and pinch when he gets really frustrated.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And and it's like, and I think that's the invitation too. It's like, when you consider that, this whole population is really here to support our human evolution. And part of the reason why so many of them are nonverbal is for that reason. It's kind of, again, it's an invitation to a different level of our consciousness. And as a parent, professionals I've watched this happen with too, that that when you can't communicate with your child or with somebody that you're supporting, you become extremely aware. You very naturally and organically, your senses get heightened because you're watching for all kinds of nonverbal cues. You're doing all kinds of amazing things that you would have never done if your child came and just, talked, or acting typical, right? And so it's like this constant invitation to another level of your consciousness. And one of the cool things that the children have always said is, we'll meet you in the space in between, right? And so the space in between is literally kind of the space between their world and where they hang out in that multidimensional awareness, and where we, the human on the ground folk, really are embodied. And so it's almost like they're asking you to ascend just a bit, and then they're willing to descend just a bit. And what's really cool about that is a foundational tenet within Awesomism, because the further you go in Awesomism, the more you realize that there will always be an ascension process for you and a descension process. So as far out as you go is as far in as you go, and as far in as you go is as far out as you can go. So it's a beautiful, beautiful dance. Yeah. So what other?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing the experience. That was very helpful. Yeah.
Any other questions from you guys? No? All right. So
Suzy?
Yeah, go ahead, Annie.
Hi. I was just wondering, I'm looking forward, I think I saw there's speakers and so forth, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how that all is incorporated in.
Yeah, sure. So typically, except during the summer months now, typically we have one guest speaker a month. So in addition to your 15 weeks of calls, there are 2 calls a month. One is typically a guest speaker, and one is typically some time with me. And we have all kinds of amazing guest speakers. I think coming up next is going to be somebody who's going to be talking about stability in an unstable world. And so we've got all kinds of people that talk about the energetics of things, multidimensionality, the children, you name it. We kind of cover a really broad spectrum of energy and awareness, those that support you as an individual and those that also support kind of your awareness of the kids. So, and then the time with Suzy once a month is usually focused on a particular piece of energy work that is specific for the Awesomism process. So it's different than what you get if you're in the monthly energy sessions or that kind of thing. It's more fine-tuned to what's going on within the process at that time. So, yeah. Does that make sense?
Great. Thank you.
Those are all recorded too. So, and those just kind of show up on your member site. So I guess that's the other thing to know. When you do register, there's a pretty extensive member site within Awesomism that gives you all the documents that you will look at and use during the process. There's some energy work for the chakras that's in there. There's also connections to Facebook groups and Yahoo groups and things like that. So yeah, that's all available upon registration. So pretty easy to navigate too, I think. So anything else? What didn't we answer? Nothing? Cool. We're done, really? Amazing. Terri, Sharon, Meredith, anything else you want to add to the mix before we call it a night?
Yeah, I wanted to add, we talk about doing the energy work. And that was, for me, that was kind of no joke. Like it was yes, there's some clearing that happens, but there's also some activations and some templates that get set that kind of changed my orientation or my level, my level of functioning. It raised my vibration. So I feel like that piece, you really become someone different on the way out. You're just much more finely attuned to yourself. And so I just wanted to talk about the fact that, there's energy work that gets done and it's significant.
Yeah. And I will say too, we've had a lot of people say that even when they start to consider the process, some things might start moving even then. Definitely when you register, things start moving. And again, I think that has a lot to do with the transmission piece. It's like, again, we're not so much calling you as the kids are calling you. So if the kids are calling you, they're also going to help to prepare you. And the energy work that, whether it's, given by Terri or Meredith or myself, it all holds a very similar frequency. It holds a very similar focused attention point. And again, because we're assuming your mastery, that's what it's going to bring out. So sometimes things that are in the way of that mastery will kind of rock and roll a little bit in the process. So, yeah. Terri, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, just how grateful we are for the interest in the program and how much fun we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ease, joy, and grace.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah, one more question. Yeah, when I saw the interview, it just made sense that, how they are not present.
Mm-hmm.
And that,
yeah,
right, that just totally explained, like, oh, that's what that is.
They're present, they're just not present in this reality. Yeah.
Right, in the physical body.
That's right.
So I heard a couple of things like color therapy,
Mm-hmm.
sound.
Mm-hmm.
What else would we utilize to help them integrate?
Yeah, there are so many different methodologies for that really get discussed within the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what I will say is the process itself, the practitioner process itself, is very supportive to their integration, because again, as you ascend, they descend. As you connect with where they are, they can share more information with you. And what is also interesting is some parents come into, especially parents, will come into the process maybe initially thinking, I want to change my kid. I want a different kid. It's like, this isn't what I signed up for, kind of thing. And although it's a really nice thought, I think what most people find as they get deeper and deeper into the process is, yes, there is a greater connection and greater bond that's made between parent and child, or therapist and child, or whatever, energetic support and the consciousness of the children. But but it's allowed to be what it wants to be instead of making it what we think it should be. And that in and of itself is a little bit about what Meredith was just talking about. As far as there's the energetics of you change as your consciousness changes. You see things from a much broader vantage point. And from that much broader vantage point, altering somebody, no matter who they are, is not necessarily the focal point. Ironically, that has a tendency to be a beautiful invitation for your child to be much closer to you, much more connected in the way that they can than when we kind of, when we come at anybody from the vantage point of, I want you to be different, then, everybody's going to, back up, right? And I also think that's why this process works so well, because if we invite you to this process with your mastery, already seeing your mastery, just like you're going to invite your son or your child to your experience, knowing that mastery is there, then you have a tendency to move forward in your experience and in your life. You move forward into your fullness of self. He or she will do the same thing, right? Because that's the invitation. And so we help you remember by example, honestly. As we see you in your mastery, you then will turn around and see your child in their mastery. And as such, you will meet in that space in between in a really unique way, however that is meant to be for you. Does that make sense?
I was wondering about that, because if they chose to be here as bringing the message or raise the consciousness, then would they want to be different?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, he doesn't want to speak for the right. So,
well, and from my vantage point, this is a whole soul group. This is a whole, literally a new body of consciousness that is attempting to be embodied by all of these beautiful children who are showing up and have been since, really in earnest since about 1995, early 1990s. That's when the whole big influx started to come in. And so you've got a whole population that is all at a soul level. They're all coming in for the same thing. And some of them are very interested in fully embodying and turning off that quote unquote autism switch or the whatever that is. Some of them are interested in other things. Their soul's journey is unique and beautiful, just like any of ours would be. But to honor that, to honor where their soul's journey has invited them to within this human experience, that opens up a lot of possibilities for your own evolution and for their descent into this quality. So,
So would his soul's wishes and my child, could it be different, what they desire? Because my child clearly wants to speak. He asked for alphabet soup from Martha Speaks, because dog eats alphabet soup and she can speak. So he wants an alphabet soup. So clearly he wants to speak. But is it his soul's desire as well, or could it be different?
They're not necessarily different. It's just that the soul holds the template. How that the soul holds the template of the life experience, and then the child, the human child, is going to try to interface with that soul's template. And so, exactly, if the soul did not want that child to communicate, that child will be interested in communicating.
Oh, wouldn't have desire to. I got
Will have
you.
no desire, because the soul is, without the soul, we're kind of meat suits. It's like there's no there's nothing to it without the soul. So it literally is an interface. So,
Okay.
yeah, body and spirit. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you. Yeah.
And we, in the meantime, as they're descending or, kind of getting acclimated to this world and this frequency and this consciousness, it's our job to support their physical health and well-being.
Makes sense.
We know that part. We know the physical part. So that's the part that we do for them. And they know the dimensional part. They know the spiritual part. They know the soul part. So that's what they draw us to, right? And so it's this beautiful dance. Like I say, it's a lovely exchange.
Okay.
And not always an easy exchange, I'll say that. So, all right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it sounds very exciting.
So starting the first week in October, you guys are free to register whenever you would like. And like I say, once you do, you'll have access to the member site. And if you have any other questions, you can find us via the website too. So hope this was helpful. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Bio.